All right, video 78. Yeah, another day, another set of stuff happening, very busy. Yeah, moving along, bunch of a few more one-on-one meetings today, which was really good, really starting to get kind of the vibe, really, I think, motivating the team as individuals, which is very important. Uh, yeah, so that's very important, really moving along, we're just going straight into it. Yes. So yeah, it becomes very yeah, today was, yeah, we did that. I was focused on the rule book a lot, or whatever he presented me, whatever person in charge of that presented me the rule book, which is really good. We're moving along there. We're finalizing a few small details in the kind of the technical side of the actual mechanical parts that'll measure, testing on the competition, things like that. On a basic level, just because we need to have these specs out to the teams that are going to be competing as soon as possible. So that's just kind of how these competitions work, right? When you're hosting a university level competition, obviously before the teams sign up, they kind of need to know what the competition is. So even though they're on board with the concept, they need to know that. They need to know their costs, which is going to cost money. And we need to finalize on a number. I think at this point, the numbers that I have at the moment that I think we want to go with is maybe $500 to start a team or, to enter the team to the competition. And then a per person fee of maybe $50 or something just to cover really the insurance for the people because insurance cost goes up per person. So that's the important part there. And then we'll also give a gift bag, with right, we'll make that value up. Like there's no reason to lose that value for the people, I think, at the end of the day, but that there should be an expense, a per person expense to actually be at the competition. And that's because of obviously different size teams, different things, and the overhang for us becomes a per person thing. So that's good there. Also, so yeah, very much getting decided. We need to finalize at least enough because the goal is that by the 11th, which is a week and a half from now, or 9 days from now, is to have everything ready to go public, right? For us to be able to say, hey, this is what we have. We are going live in a way of getting, sponsorships, things like that, which is great. I started looking into those sponsorship companies, things like that. We have to work on a proper pitch deck, which is something, we have the preliminary pitch deck now, which is just what we've been giving out to people, what I've been, presenting with, which is good. It's just not professional enough, I guess, and it's not a final proper pitch, proper deck. And that comes into another one of the meetings that I had today with the president of the NSS, and that was about them endorsing us. And he's very much on board. He likes the concept. He agrees with the whole thing, which is great. And their endorsement would be great for us, right? Obviously, from their side, it's good because it's a nonprofit organization. It's a competition to educate people. It's space related, things like that, which is really important. It's also not something that they have to really care about much, which is kind of what I pitched them on a lot, right? We're functioning on our own. We're building a self-sustaining industry. We're not looking for them to actually get involved in the actual project itself, but we do want their involvement in terms of help and assistance and connections and those type of stuff, right? I do want their involvement to some extent, but not so much with the logistics, right? Or not at all with the logistics. We don't need that help. Again, if they want to offer it, I'll take it, but it's not something we're asking for. So yeah, so that's really good there. Again, it needs to move on. I've reached out to the next person that I need to reach out to there, and then they're gonna have to pitch it in not they said not this month, but next month's board meeting. So it'll just take a little bit, but we'll get there. That'll happen. Then we have yeah, so that's pretty much all we have there with um the organization, yeah, with that meeting. So that went really well. Also met with Michael again, which is really nice. He has his input on kind of I was asking for advice on kind of the systems and just things that I'm unsure about, which is good. It's great to have someone like that I think I needed to build that kind of relationship up with a business person, with someone who has that experience, and I can be uncertain around and sound like I'm a little bit, like I don't know what I'm doing. And it's important to have people like that because at the end of the day, not always be sure of my decisions, or not even that until I'm sure of my decisions. I need to be unsure and figure it out. And having people you can open up to like that is important, right? Because I know, that's kind of the divide that I'm going through now. There's a lot of who do I, you know, act fully confident to and be fully sure of myself to, and who do I really open up to and show, okay, this is what I'm not sure about, what do we do here? And it's a weird mix now because there is obviously the early team building and part of being honest and genuine being is about being yourself in any situation. But there's also the business part of it, right? At the end of the day, your confidence is as the CEO or as right is what's gonna be passed on. And if you're confident, it'll make other people confident and also make other people do better, right? They'll be confident in their decisions, they'll be working harder, they'll be, thinking better of this project. And that's very, very important. It's honesty is number one for me, right? I think honesty is the top priority, but there is this kind of weird point where honesty isn't always the best decision, right? So don't be dishonest, right? Don't lie, but at the same time, you can kind of shy away from the full truth, right? I guess debatably, but that's kind of the the mentality that I have, right? In the sense is we really need to be confident sometimes, and sometimes that confidence is faked, right? Sometimes, yeah, I'm not confident in some decision that we're making or at all in what we're doing, but there's there's enough surety, and then you know, not knowing everything is okay, right? And that's something I'm learning, but that's very important, right? You're not going to know everything. You're not going to be able to know everything, and this is why you have to build people around you that you trust that will know other things. And then if you're in perfect communication and working together, that's when you really have this, this perfect flow of stuff. And we're getting there. We're very much getting to that point. Like we are very, close to a point where I think we can say we're real, right? We're moving along. It's just it's tough when you're not together. And that's one thing that I think is something that you're gonna also talk to Michael about, but it's kind of a new age of business these days, right? Since pretty much since COVID, since Zoom became such a big thing and virtual meetings and virtual offices became such a big thing in industry, a lot of businesses are doing this concept right now. It's a little bit different by us because we're not even remotely close to each other, totally different time zones, and literally just building it's unique in some ways, and that's an advantage because we'll really learn and it'll either define the future and be this is a really great concept, it works, or it won't work, and we'll learn from those mistakes and figure out what we need to change. But again, and that's the attitude too, right? That's kind of where we're not going to know everything. There's no way to know everything, but if you're confident that you will find the right answer, that's all you need, right? At the end of the day, you're going to find the right answer, and you have to know that you're going to look and have the right connections and have the right people around you and have the right, have the balls basically to say that you don't know this thing, right? And go over to someone like that. So always be always humble. I mean, that's a given, I think, in business, but hey, it's worth saying. But that's really, the kind of step by step of doing this, right? Of getting this organization out there, of pretty much going big. Now, a big part of our business of WSpec as a whole at the organization is our publicity, right? A lot of what we're going to sell is the value that we have. For a big brand, for a big out of there company, we will be able to sell that to investors, right? Investors will want to partner with us because, hey, we'll get their name out there. We'll get them the right talent. Okay, talent is the different part, but we'll get their name out there. And that's really a selling point. So the bigger we grow as a brand, the more value we have, right? And it's a weird way of scaling, but it scales, right? And the more value you have, the more value you can ask for, right? And then the more we can perform, which again adds to our publicity, which adds to our value, which all just kind of cycles in itself. So, I mean, the feedback already started, and that's kind of the important thing. It scales, so it's obviously not gonna just grow like that. It's gonna, slowly grow, but it will scale. Meaning, year one or the whole first year, and that's what we were laughing about today. Before we know it, I think, before we know it, right, we're gonna be just about to start the first competition. Hey, this is it. We're a week before the competition, we're starting. And that's it. That's pretty much how it goes. So, time moves fast once you're really, doing stuff and moving on it. But yeah, that's not so important for this. But what we do need is to grow. And growth is going to come from obviously a lot of different ways. Obviously, teams competing, obviously interest, the value of it, and then growing in terms of sponsorships, right? The size of them, not just in the money, but also the size of the company, size of the brands, recognition there, right? If we partner with some really, really big names, that really puts us out there, right? That's really going to get us a large position in a very prominent place, right? So yeah, so either way, I think Zesty had some other interesting ideas that he mentioned about how we should market, who we should talk to, kind of where we should go there, which is interesting. And I'm definitely, very much value his opinion. I think he definitely knows what he's talking about. He's a brilliant person, and also at the same time, he really believes in this project too. And I think the thing is, it aligns with everyone, right? Our project really aligns with everyone on, yeah, it aligns with everyone on our that we're trying to reach out to so far, right? And not even so far. I think in general, right? Good business, and I've said this before in these videos, but in general, good business is where you make every single person involved benefit. And you could do that. There's always a way you can do that. You just need to find that middle ground, right? No one needs to take, because there's two ways to do business, and obviously I'm not gonna, yeah, there's this honest way to do business, and not really dishonest, but the way to do business of where you're the one who ends up with the advantage. You don't really care about everyone else involved. They benefit, they lose, doesn't matter. You're the one who benefits, right? You sold them, and that's that, right? They may be able to benefit from your product, they may not, but you sold them. I don't want to do that at all, ever, right? But I haven't done that yet so far in any business I've done, and I'm not planning on doing that with this, right? There's any connection, anything you make, you could have a benefit for everyone. Right? We could find that middle ground where, hey, you have a marketing budget. You need to market yourself out, right? You have a hiring budget. You need to hire people. I can give you those people, right? And then again, you tell me what kind of value you want to be paying for that. And again, there's a cost, obviously. It has a value. I'm not saying it's free because again, we need the money to make this have its value, right? To host these competitions, which costs money. So it's really, hey, you're going to give us the money for hosting the competitions, but we're going to give you the real benefits from this. And then again, everyone else involved in this project that we're spreading out adds more people, right? And that's really creating industry. I guess that's business 101, right? You're creating a reason for money to be spent, to be passed between people. And that's all that matters, right? Because at the end of the day, the money is just going to be spent in someone else's hands, right? Money, at the end of the day, is being spent. That's the point. The point is, though, if you can make it pass between hands, right? If I create a reason to take money and then I create a reason to then spend that money, I've just created a reason for this money to get passed around, right? Which gives people jobs, gives people a life, gives people value, gives real things to the world, right? That's one way of doing business, right? There's obviously the other, with physical product, that's a different thing, right? When you're selling someone an actual physical product, there's perishable products too, right? In that sense, it's more a purchase for an immediate value or something, but not really a long, food or something like that, right? Where you eat it, it's done, you're gone, no more value. It's just deeper business concept. But that's really what it is, right? At the end of the day, with the competitions, we're not creating a product, we're creating a industry, right? We're creating a reason now for this money to be spent on competitions to increase this, and then now it adds that, right? So the money's being spent on physical things. Yes, obviously there is, having a physical competition, so that also kind of has value for a bit, runs out. There's also going to be assets that are going to be bought, real, the balloons and stuff, which likely be bought. And that's a balloon, right? We're talking about a massive aerostat balloon that costs a lot of money, but also remains an asset, right? As a company, we own that balloon. So that, yeah, there's obviously little bunch of these type of things there. But yeah, we're here, we're doing this. It's a start, learning throughout the process, obviously, making these videos, and I really hope these help one day. Even if nobody else, they'll always help me. I guess if I could look back, if I fail, I'm not going to. Either way, hope you enjoyed. Hope this made sense, and good luck.